You guys, we're at the Krav Maga Defence Institute in Sydney, and I've got Hank Kisley, and Hank's the military advisor for Call of Duty. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It's great to be here with you.
Cheers. I guess the first question is, can you give us a brief rundown on your military career?
I got 24 years, United States Army, paratroop, Ranger qualified, infantry.
And how did you become first involved with the Call of Duty franchise?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. A friend of mine asked me to come out and help him. He'd been picked up to be the military advisor because he was a very visible guy on TV, so he knew that he was big on strategy and operations, but he wasn't big on tactics and guns and squad maneuvers. So he said, come on out. We went out and looked. I was not enthusiastic about working with the gaming industry initially until I saw the level of craftsmanship, dedication, and passion that developers had for getting the World War II story right. So I signed on 2003, been with them ever since. Very passionate bunch of guys.
Cool. So has it turned you into a gamer?
You know, I'm a gamer for the game that I built, and I played a little Halo, but I've also always got other things to do. Either a rock wall to build, a wood to split, or something else to do. So, I have to carefully manage the time. So I spend my gaming experience is Call of Duty.
So what sort of things do they get you to advise on, and what's the most common thing that you have to pull them up on?
The developers are extremely passionate about getting the research right. So they've read the books and they've read all the documents and they watch the movies and they've talked to a few people, but they don't have the experience on the ground. So, I'm able to look at what they're doing as far as moving into a building with 4 guys and say, no, that's not the way a modern squad would enter a building. This is the way they would go in. This is the way they would clear the stairwell. Oh, and by the way, they would call for artillery fire this way, and this is the kind of conversation they would have on the radio, and this is where a tank would be used in a fight. So, just give them a little bit of the tempo, the dialogue, of what would actually happen from the point of view of a guy that's been there, vice somebody that's just read about it.
Do you ever worry that you're giving them a little bit too much, or do you ever have to pull yourself up before you give something away?
Well, I did just get back from Iraq, and I was exposed to some things that were classified. So every once in a while, as you're looking on, especially the electronic warfare spectrum, you kind of have to back off and say that's something you probably shouldn't know. So yeah, I'm very careful that that I do not reveal something that's not open source material.
So what sort of things do you normally run through with the devs? Like, do you do like a lot of push-ups with them or workout systems with them?
Oh, every once in a while we take them to the beach and do some doing some working out. Looks like you've been working out, by the way, man. Look at this. It's a fit man. All right, he's got some striations on his arm, doesn't he? Huh?
Thank you. Now, you've worked with both Infinity and Treyarch on Call of Duty games. What's the differences between working with the two studios? Because traditionally they both have very different Call of Duty games that they've been working on.
Yeah, each one of those is a very different personality. And the key to having a great studio is to fuse the creative energy that's kind of unleashed and allowed to go. The guys in school, you said, how's he ever going to get a job? Because all they do is just doodle on a tablet. Well, that doodler comes in, he makes fabulous animation if he's allowed a little creative freedom. But you got to fuse that with someone says, we got to get this product out by Friday. You got to have that thing knocked out. I don't care if you're drawing bricks forever, that brick's got to be drawn by Friday. So you have to have the two kinds of guys, the creative energy guy and the guy that drives things. So each one of those studios approaches that a little bit differently. And it's interesting to watch. Both of them fantastic studios, both of them great personalities. Both of them produce a great product. But I'll tell you this time, Treyarch has always felt a little bit like the junior brother that never got quite the rating. So they've really ramped up on this game, trying to get up with the big brother, put out a product that's comparable or better.
Cool. Now, as a military man, is there anything that makes you cringe in the video games when you see it?
What really bothers me is, one, I don't like to see the good guys doing bad things. So when you see a American or a Brit or somebody knocking a prisoner down and punching the back of his head for no particular reason, like, that's not how we act. The other thing is, I don't like to see, I'm very concerned about muzzle control of a weapon. All right, so when you come up and turn in the game and I want to talk to you, my weapon is pointing at you, which causes me discomfort. I keep talking to those guys, get the freaking muzzle down. When you come around a guy like that, it's like this. I never would point a muzzle at anybody that I didn't want to shoot. So muzzle control bothers me, and someone told me they might have it fixed in this game, but we'll see.
Now, just last night, a couple of copies of Call of Duty Black Ops were stolen before it was released. There's obviously a lot of people who are going to be going to the midnight launches for this game because it's probably going to be one of the bigger games of the year. Are you able to just give us a couple of self-defense tips for people who have gone out at midnight and might run into some trouble on the way home?
it's first of all, we're honored that the demand for this game is so great that it's inspired an entire nefarious element in Australia that's stealing it. You got to think about that. Where did that poor little bastard come from? I'm going to plan my heist. I'm not going to go to the bank. I'm going to go heist 300 copies of the Black Ops game. So, say you're walking home with your game. You're caressing it like a baby, and all of a sudden, some nefarious dude comes popping out of a dark corner and says, "Hey, give me a game." Now, you got a couple options to do. First of all, to disarm a situation, sometimes you can just say, "Hey, back off, guy. Here's the game. I'm scared shitless of you. Here, take this game." At that point, he's like, "Okay, I'm no longer armed." The guy's completely backing down, and he's acting soft and as if he will not defend himself. And at that point, you have him in a little bit of vulnerable situation. Now, he's watching to see if you're going to make a strike on his face, all right, before he makes his move. So instead of striking on his face, you take, I don't have my shoes on, you take your edge of your shoe, hard shoe, and you rake it down his freaking shin, and you stomp on his foot. And you take the game, anything you have in your hand as a weapon, you take the game and you jam it into his throat, basically crushing his voice box. Now he's going to talk strangely. All right, we've got him, he's crushed his voice box. We now come right to his eyes, we poke out his frickin' eyes, we jam his nose up into his brain, we kick him in the nuts, and then we pop him on the back of the neck, and he's on the ground. We say, "Not your f***ing game, my friend," and you wander away.
Seems fairly effective to me.
It's just a technique, but again, disarm your opponent, go for the sensitive parts of his body and the surprise moves. If you have something in your hand, a set of keys, even the gaming box, use it as a striking weapon. And again, surprise is critical in the fight, and aggressiveness. Once you choose to fight, this is not punch him in the nose and play a punch in the nose. You've gone to disable and possibly maim and kill. So you made that decision because this guy's coming after you. So if you're not willing to make that decision, don't commit. Give him the goddamn game. So now that's what most people would advise. Here, take the game.
Now, I guess you said that you've been running the developers through a couple of workout sessions. Are you able to show us what you make them do?
Yeah, well, essentially, if you're in the development business, you don't have quite the cut this man has, all right? Because they spend a lot of time. So, we start off with a basic push-up. So let me hold this for you. Crom is the god of steel. He doesn't care about what you do in life unless you do something hard. So if you do a normal run, and that's on flat ground, he doesn't give a shit. But the moment you take a hill and you take it hard, he'll roll over and look down and say, "That kind of amuses me." Up! Brilliant! Brilliant! The man is an animal. He is a physical machine. He's like one taut band of muscle surrounding an exoskeleton of tremendous power. A paragon of Australian manhood. It's a good man. All right, it's been a pleasure seeing him.
Thank you,
I
Hank.
got full confidence in all Australians. And all for the viewers out there, stay hard, stay tough. Get away from the game every once in a while. Work on the chest, work on the shoulders, work on the cardio. Balance your life, man. Keep up the fire.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah. Stay away from drugs, unless it's alcohol. Wait till you're 18.